Now, I don't want you to hate me for this, but I'm going to stand up for Dean Douglas for a minute here, okay? Just so give me my soapbox. I'm going to try to drop some knowledge here on the Dean, or the guy who portrayed the Dean, or the Dean who was Shane Douglas. We're going to try to get something across. Now, if you think about it, okay, you think about Dean. Okay, yes, some of the segments might have been what we construe now as cheesy. At the time, you're on TV every week. Okay, yeah, no, you're on TV every week. They debuted it in a very high spot, okay, so there was a little thought behind it, obviously thrust into that intercontinental picture, you know, in the ring with two of the arguably, you know, the biggest guys on the roster at the time. But one thing that I find very interesting about the Dean Douglas character is how close it stayed, though, to you, when at the time we've got garbage men, we've got booger guys, we've got, you know, bushwhackers, we've got all these different things, the goon, you know, Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, you know, we have all these things. You managed to keep Douglas, and you managed to incorporate your teaching background into it. So do you look back at Dean Douglas with maybe a few little elements of, all right, on paper, could have been better, execution was obviously off, but, you know, all in all, maybe Dean Douglas could have gone in obviously a better direction.
No doubt in my mind. I've reached a point in my career where there was a time, believe it or not, when I used to be embarrassed about the dynamic dudes thing, and then I realized, you know, we're in an industry that we're told what we're going to do, and it's our job to go out and portray that. I believe the Dean Douglas character could have worked in spades if they would allow. The one thing I remember Vince telling me vividly was that when he was in 8th grade, he had a teacher that used to talk in a monotone voice, and he used to hate it. And that's why he wanted the Dean to talk in a monotone voice, and no inflection and no emotion. And I said, well, Vince, there's a bit of a difference here. The difference was when you were in 8th grade, you couldn't turn the channel. Today, these fans can. And if they know it's a 60-second segment, they'll flip around for, I'm a channel surfer. And so I knew the fans would tune away if it wasn't compelling. And I had just come off the run as being a pretty fiery talker with my promos, pretty emotional. And there was one time we were up there, the first time I'd gone to the WWF studios on a Sunday. And they wanted me in town on a Sunday because they didn't want fans to see me coming in and out of the building as we were shooting these first 6-7 vignettes. And it was there all Sunday morning and afternoon, doing shoot after shoot after shoot, complete with costume changes, hair, makeup changes, and, you know, all what verbiage they wanted. And about the 5th or 6th one in, I'd gotten so bored with it. I was bored of hearing myself talk in a monotone voice. And I said to Vince, you know, can I do that last one again? I'll use the exact same verbiage, give the exact same grade, just a little different delivery. And he said, well, sure. So I did it again as the franchise, pounding my fist on the podium with the laugh. It's when I started the nail scratching on the board. And right as I finished, literally as I finished the promo, somebody came in and said that Vince had gotten a phone call and Vince had to leave the room. So I pulled the room while he was gone. Now, mind you, the room, it wasn't 2 or 3 people, a la ECW. It was 2 or 3 makeup girls and hair girls, 2 or 3 sound techs, couple cameramen. Michael Hayes was in there, Stan Lane was in there, Jim Ross was in there. There were probably, 12, 15 people in the room. And I went around the room and I asked each of them, which do you think was better, which delivery? The first person I asked was Michael Hayes, because I've always respected Michael's ability on the microphone, and I knew he knew a good promo from a bad one. And I vividly remember like it was yesterday, Michael Hayes said, man, that last one was hot. So I knew right there I was right. It felt better to me, and I knew right there I was right. But I went around the rest of the room, and every single person in that room said the same thing that Michael Hayes said, including Jim Ross. Said, yeah, that last one was a lot better. It was compelling. It was emotional. It kept my interest. So now Vince McMahon comes walking back, and he's got his glasses on the end of his nose, and he's got a cup of coffee, leans against the table, and I said, well, Vince, what'd you think? And he, again, back to the pond. I'm curious how many times them and the personnel in the WWE or WWF when I was there pondered the secrets of the universe, because that's what it looked like Vince was doing. And he gave a long, pregnant pause, and he finally stopped and he looked around the room at everybody, and he said, "Well, I appreciate what you were trying to do, but," again, a long, pregnant pause, and he said, "But I think I like my way better. What's everybody else think?" Every person in that room that 5 minutes before had told me that they thought the second one was much better, all said, voiced up, "Yeah, Vince, we agree with you. That's what we told him when you were gone, Vince." And it was at that moment that I knew it was time to get the hell out of WWF, because it's not about what I can come up with or what you can come up with in your head and what we think is going to be good. When you've got a person that's been in the business for quite a long time at that point, 20 plus years or close, and you're just going to completely dispel that and say, no, forget everything you know, go this route instead. And a wrestling promo is a place we're not, like Bill Watts used to say, we're not curing cancer and splicing the atom. We're getting, this is pretty basic stuff, and as a heel, you understand what's going to draw heat from the crowd. It was that moment with clarity that I remember my first trip to Stamford, Connecticut for on-camera work. I knew it was time to get the hell out of there. And it was really a clarifying moment for me, because I thought, it's one thing to surround yourself with yes men. It's another to just fly in the face of everything that everybody knows is wrong, just to agree with the boss. And, it's taken longer than I thought, but I think with what we're seeing right now, with the hemorrhaging of ratings by the WWE and the hemorrhaging of live attendance at the venues in the WWE, and now the pending deal to move over, for the large part, to move a lot of business over to India, which is why you saw the Punjab prison match this past Sunday and the return of the Great Khali. I think that speaks volumes as to how they view the American marketplace, and I don't think it's a good place for them to be.